Hi, how's it going? Long time no vid. So I'm gonna demonstrate something today, but I also wanted to share a couple of little things. So first of all, yes, what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the evidence of a 7 1/4 inch radius fingerboard and how it'll dictate your action, basically. So before I get into that, I'm going to get into a few other things too. Well, the first of which is a bit of a revelation, a bit of a, it's a blockbuster announcement here. No, I recently have begun to dabble into the idea that, believe it or not, that I'm autistic. Now, there are some of you that are probably going to go like, no shit, really? Because a friend of mine did that. So I haven't been diagnosed yet, but I think, the more I read about it and the more, more I think about it, like, yeah, it's fucking obvious, right? So with that in mind, there's something about what I can see from autism is that sometimes certain people, self included, can be like a dog with the bone. You give me an idea, I'm gonna run with it, or it's just gonna stay in there, it's gonna rattle and it's gonna rattle. Sometimes I forget shit. Some things I will never ever forget. And some of the things I don't forget that just keep rattling around in my head because they're just so wrong are some of the comments that you find people have left me. Most of them I think are good. Some of them are kind of neutral. Others are fucking batshit crazy. So the first one I want to talk about is a comment on a video I did a few years ago about string bends on a 7 1/4 inch radius. Now, I'm not going to go and look back at it because I'm sure I'm just going to be embarrassed by whatever it is I say and all that. But I can remember one of the comments, at least one, saying, "No, this has been disproven, by so and so who I have forgotten and I won't Google." And I disproven. Disproven? How do you disprove this? So I want to start by, I'll get around to the actual proving it bit, but we're going to remain in the comments. Now, let me share with you a book. The Guitar Player Repair Guide. Now, clearly, I am not very organized because I would have at some point, before pressing fucking record, I should have maybe taken a note as to what page I should have been referencing. But anyway, this book, The Guitar Player Repair Guide, is a book by Dan Earlywine. And if you don't know who Dan Earlywine is, please look him up. He's basically the StewMac guy. This is my fucking Bible, my friends. This is an absolute, just this is all I've ever really needed in terms of what I do for a living. In terms of repairing the guitars. The Guitar Tech live side of things, that's a whole different thing. I don't know how you'd ever write a book on how to be a decent guitar tech that people want to employ and they can get along with. That's some 4D chess shit. So if it says in the Bible, which it does somewhere in this lovely tome, if it says in the Bible that 7 1/4 inch radii have issues with string bends, well, you ought to believe it because it's in the Bible. But we're gonna get to actual real evidence, beyond beyond scripture. Let's just say. So we're gonna go that. So when people say they've disproved this 7 1/4 inch radius thing, like, fucking Dan says it. Dan says it, I'm going to say it because Dan knows his shit. But, for those of you who are still reluctant to believe in experts, I'm going to get to that, say. There was a brilliant one I only noticed recently. It was from an old video. Every so often, these people just sort of crop up. And I think what I was doing was testing the tone circuit on a guitar. And I was probably using an Allen key. Here's an Allen key. And here is a guitar. Now, this is a brand new Jag. Now, let's see, get in the camera. You can't really see. It doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pole piece and I'm going to take this Allen key and I'm going to just rub the pole piece. And I'm going to adjust the tone knob. And it's not a good demonstration here, but generally speaking, you adjust the tone knob and you can start to hear the sound being muffled. You do that in a situation where the guitar has no strings on. You just want to check to see the tone's actually doing something. And then if you want to check for, any dead spots on the pot and then use a tuning fork. The funny thing was on the comments on this is like, I can't believe he's touching the pole pieces with an Allen key, and he could be scratching up, the pickup rings or the pickup covers. And I'm like, fucking hell! Like, do you guys play your guitars, or do you just sit around and like gawk at them? Oh my fucking god! Get out there and play the guitar. If it gets scratched up, stop being a fucking baby. If you don't want any marks on your guitar ever, don't fucking play the thing. Put it in a display case. I can't believe people are that fucking anal about this shit. Now, no one's taking a chisel to the goddamn finish. Ooh, he's rubbing a pole piece. He's rubbing the pole piece. Oh, Jesus, he's gonna touch the pole piece. Okay, fuck that. Right. The last the little rant I want to have about comments in general is like, I think there was a video about how I called it stratitis. That was the term that I learned from. It was from Bob Metzger, who was the guitarist for Leonard Cohen for quite a while. Because Bruce Springsteen told me once to never name drop, but yes, I did used to work for Leonard Cohen, and as part of the years that I was with Leonard Cohen, which was a fucking brilliant gig, I looked after Bob Metzger. Bob Metzger was the guy who introduced me to the idea of stratitis. I didn't have a name for it, but anyway, so stratitis is what some people would call this thing when you get the strings a little bit too close to the pole pieces on a pickup. It starts to induce some overtones, and it's unpleasant. It can make you sound like your guitar. The intonation is terrible, or something like that. It's not. It's just this magnetic influence on the string. And I think one of the things. There was another comment, and it might have been the same string, but on the same video. But it was like, no, this is bullshit. Like, dude. The fucking evidence is right in front of you. I'm demonstrating when you do this, by twisting a screwdriver and having the strings really close to the pole pieces, like this happens. You can hear it happening. How the fuck what are you on? You say, no, it's bullshit. Fuck! These are the kinds of people that live on the internet. It's insane how you could just completely refute evidence. There's fucking loads of evidence, and especially when it's on video. Like, what fucking deep state horrorscape do you live in? Oh my god. Anyway, yes, folks, crazy people play guitars too. All right, so let's get to this 7¼ inch radius thing here. Now, I know this isn't the greatest angle in the world, and it's just gonna, Jesus Christ, let's do this. So here I am. I'm shredding. I'm so shredding. I'm fucking shredding. So shredding. I'm gonna get to the 12th fret, and then I'm gonna fucking bend it. Okay? Bend it more. Oh, so shredding. Bending. The fuck? Why is it? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. String bends on a 7¼ inch radius. Do that. What? No, don't believe the evidence. Don't believe the evidence. Don't believe what you see right here. Question it. Question fucking everything. Question the red light. Why should I stop at a red light? I don't believe red means stop. I think red means go, and I'm gonna go because I'm a fucking asshole. So yeah, listen, this does happen. And it does happen, or it can happen, on just about any radius, really. The thing that is happening here is, as it says in the Bible, I think it says something about the string is essentially traveling uphill. So let's look. What does that mean? Let's look at this. Hang on, I've got myself a red marker here, and oh god, I'm probably gonna regret this. And can you imagine the comments? Oh my god, he's got a marker near a guitar. Oh, fucking calamity. So here's the string. Here's the bend, right? That is where it's kicking off. So I'm gonna mark on the frets with this marker where the string is. I'm gonna draw a line, okay? And don't worry, we're gonna get rid of this later. It's hard for me to get in there. Can I get that? I got there, yeah. So we're gonna have a little close up in a moment. But yeah, this is, when you bend the string, of course, the string is, before you bend the string is just in its own little straight line doing its own thing, right? And when you bend the string, it's still a straight line, but it starts off here and it goes at a diagonal, right? So we're gonna look at the diagonal in a minute, any second now. All right, voila. So here's the guitar. Now, Here are the little red dots. Gosh, I hope you can see those. Yeah, I think you should be able to. It's hard for me to tell. But I think you're seeing the red dots here. So this is the trajectory that the string was doing there. And you would sort of think, well, shouldn't that be downhill if it's going down, this away, So call it whatever, whether it's string is traveling uphill, whether it's downhill, who knows? Now, I suppose we could know, but we don't really care at this point. What we're doing is we are looking at this line, okay? So now this is not the most accurate graph in the world, but it's where I put those little red marks, and we can see that, this is kind of your trajectory at this point, okay? Now that is obviously different from where the string was. It's either here, nice big straight line, or there at a funny angle. So let's get a trusty bit of kit. This is a fret rocker. A lot of you out there are going to know what a fret rocker is. For those of you that don't, it is basically a piece of metal with nice precision, straight lines, so that what we can do is we set them across the frets to check to see if they are out of level with each other. Now this is a freshly leveled Jaguar. I have to keep having to look. I get them mixed up with Mustangs and all the rest of it. So here is, now we want to be careful with this because unlike the pole pieces, I do want to be very careful with the frets because this little steel guy here can set little dings in them. So let's just be very careful. We'll go up here where the camera can see. So the idea is that, you put it across the fret, and if one of the frets is high, the thing, you'll feel it kind of rocking. Oh, it does say STUMAC, other fret rockers are available. Okay, so now what we normally do is we check the fret, whether the frets are level, sort of along with the string. We sort of go up and down this way. We never check them at an angle. And then, so let's see, does this work? So we're normally going like this when we check frets. But interestingly enough, remember that line? You see those red lines there, those frets? I'm gonna angle the string. I'm gonna angle the fret rocker on par with those, and voila, the fret rocks. The fret rocker rocks. When you have it at an angle, it rocks. That's just what it does. Now it's hard to do with the strings on it, and I do need to be very, very gentle. But if I align the fret rocker in the same trajectory as the string took when it was bending, that big long bend, we start to see that the fret rocker rocks a bit. That means that as far as this straight line is concerned, the frets aren't level. So they only go level, this away, this sort of, if we're looking up purely north-south. But when we start to go sort of, adding a little bit of a diagonal there, the frets just do naturally become slightly out of level with each other. So let me do this in a real extreme way. This would be an even steeper angle if we got there. The rocker is rocking, okay? This way, no rocking. That away, lots of rocking. So what does that tell us? Well, that tells us the relationship between, the three frets that we check at once are all different. It is a different scenario altogether. So the one in the middle is the high one because it's rocking, right? So there's your fucking evidence. I don't know how anyone can, disprove this because there it is right in front of you. There you have it. That's actual evidence. This goes to show that when you do bend strings, the trajectory of this string is on a slightly different trajectory than it was, some moments before. Shock horror. And here's me cleaning off that red ink from the frets. None on the fretboard. Fabulous. This is great. So all I can do is present that evidence. That is clear. It's clear that something happens there. So as somebody said, on one of those comments of the 7¼ inch board, like, you just raised the action. Well, yes, you raised the action. I thought I kind of said that in the thing too. So sometimes these comments come out of the minds of people who aren't fucking listening or are just refusing to see the actual evidence in front of them. So there it is. I mean, that just goes to prove that whenever you change the trajectory of the string, your line, your topography changes. The topography of the fretboard just changes. I can't draw any other conclusion than here you go. There's the evidence. So what's the real main conclusion here? For you as the guitar player, what do you do with this information? Well, if you like, a Mustang, a Jag, a Jazzmaster, if you like or even Tellys, I think they do them too. If you like that 7¼ inch radius for chords and all that, great. If you want a nice low action and you just play along, great. If you want a really nice low action and you want to be able to do big bends, don't use a 7¼ inch radius. The only way out of this is to raise the action a little bit. We cannot argue with physics. You can't argue with this trajectory thing. You're not going to level the frets in such a way that it doesn't matter what angle or trajectory you're at. They're all the same level, unless the fretboard is absolutely flat, like in your sort of classical style of guitars. No, an electric guitar, there's usually a radius there. Now, the flatter that radius, the bigger the number, if it's like a 9.5, a 10.5, a 12, a 14, even up to 16 or something, then there's a really good chance you're not going to have any trouble with grounding out on string bends. Maybe your frets need to be leveled, but for a 7¼ inch, that's really all you can do is just raise the action a little bit. I really fucking hope that this whole thing has been just a joy for you as it has been for me. So totally serious when I say that thing about me possibly may well be autistic. So that was part of this thing too. It's who I am. It's what I got to do going forward, I suppose, is just sort of live with that idea. And second was to, conclude and show you some fucking evidence and explain why I am the way I am. A little bit crazy, a little bit camp, yes, sure. But there you go. How the fuck are you going to argue with actual science? Doesn't matter who presents it to you. I could be the fucking king of fucking kingdom come. And if I'm showing you, what's actually going on, and if that thing also says so in the Bible, do you really think you ought to come up with your comments and say, no, that didn't happen. He's making it up. Fuck off. Post-credit scene. You can see I'm in a different outfit here. It's been a couple of days, and before I posted the video, I wanted to just let it percolate, let a few things sort of rattle around that head of mine. And one thing I neglected to mention when it comes to 7¼ inch radius, you're not sunk, you're not out of the water necessarily if you have a 7¼ and you have a compound radius. So that's your way out. If you like to do chords up here and then you like to do widdly down there is this thing called a compound radius, and it starts at 7¼ and as you go along the fretboard, the radius kind of expands a little bit, it flattens out. So I've done my homework this time, and I've got my Bible here, and there it is on page 149. It shows you what a compound radius looks like. I'm not going to do a zoom in for copyright and all the rest of it, but it's basically like the differences between the difference between a compound radius and a regular straight up radius is that if you can imagine, the inside of a paper towel thing, it's a cylinder. This is your radius the whole way along. If it looked like a cone, that would be your compound radius. So that's that. And while I was here, interestingly enough, now I am going to quote from the Bible. On a 7¼ inch radius fretboard, take a good look at a bend on the first string, at least a whole step bend. The string is moving at an uphill angle towards or over the middle of the fretboard radius. It has to buzz. And now has is in italics, okay? It has to buzz. So this is what I'm saying. And, and maybe this, Dan and I are on the same plane here. If you really need proof, remove the top strings and set a straight edge on that same plane. Now, by plane, I presume he means trajectory. It will rock on the spot that would cause a buzz. Since the strings rise on a long angle up and away from the fingerboard as they head towards the bridge, the fingerboard's radius need not be totally flat to be buzz-free, but 7¼ is pushing it. This is why Fender began using 9 and 12 inch radius, and so if you play a vintage Strat or a copy, your action mustn't be too low if you want to play the blues. So Dan says it, I'm fucking saying it in my own words, same sort of stuff, reinforcing. It's, there it is. It's black and white in print and on video. 7¼ inch radius fretboards, that's what you get.